Okay, hello everybody. Sorry for the slight delay. I spilled my Coke all over the ground and had to clean it up first. So that's nice. But anyway, here we are with another exciting installment of The Lost Years of Merlin. We are reading chapter 18 today, called The Name of the King. Last chapter, Rhea and Emrys and Trouble followed the Alea bird deep into the forest, and it turned out it was the evil serpent that Trouble saved them from. So, danger. But, alas, let's see what happens. My second sight moved from the skin of the shifting wraith, as brittle as a dried leaf, to the living, whispering boughs of the Druma. Tell me what is happening to Finkyra. Rhea frowned. Such an unnatural expression for her. I only know a little that I've learned from the trees. Tell me what you know. She reached toward me, wrapping one of her fingers around mine. It reminds me of a basket of sweet berries that turned sour, too sour to eat. She gave a sigh. Some years ago, strange things, evil things, started happening. The lands east of the river, once nearly as green and full of life as this forest, fell to the blight. As the land darkened, so did the sky. But until today, the Druma had always been safe. Its power was so strong, no enemies dared to enter. Until now. How many wraiths are there? Trouble fluttered his wings, then grew quiet again. I don't know. Her frown deepened. But the shifting wraiths are not even our worst enemies. They are warrior goblins. They used to stay underground in their caves, but now they run free, and they just kill for pleasure. There are Gulliants, the deathless warriors who guard the shrouded castle, and there is Stangmar, the king who commands them all. At the mention of that name, the living branches surrounding I can't read tonight. At the mention of that name, the living branches surrounding the stand of dead trees started shaking and clacking. When at last they grew still, I asked, "Who is this king?" Rhea chewed her lip. Stangmar is terrible, too terrible for words. It's hard to believe, but I've heard the trees say that when he first came to power, he wasn't so wicked. In those days, he sometimes rode through the Druma on his great black horse, even pausing to listen to the voices of the forest. Then something happened to him. No one knows what, that made him change. He destroyed his own castle, a place of music and friendship, and where it stood he built the shrouded castle, a place of cruelty and terror. She sat solemnly for a moment. It lies far to the east, in the darkest of the dark hills, where the night never ends. I've heard of no one, other than the king's own servants, who has gone there and returned alive. No one. So the truth is difficult to know. Yet, it is said that the castle is always dark and always spinning, so fast that no one could ever attack it. I stiffened, remembering my dream at sea. Even now, that terrible castle felt all too real. Meanwhile, Stangmar has poisoned much of Finkyra. All the lands east of the Druma, and some to the south, have been cleansed, as those royal to him would say. What that really means is that cold, lifeless fear, has covered everything. It reminds me of snow, except snow is pretty. Villages are burned, trees and rivers are silent, animals and birds are dead, and the giants are gone. Giants? Her eyes burned angrily. Our first and oldest people. Giants from every land call Finkyra their ancestral home. Even before the rivers began rolling down from the mountains, the footsteps of giants marked Finkyra. Long before Arbassa first sprouted as a seedling, their rumbling chants echoed over ridges and forests. Even now, the Lidra, their oldest chant, is the first song many babies ever hear. The Lidra. Had I heard that name before? It seemed familiar somehow. But how could it be? Unless, perhaps, it was one of Bronwyn's chants. They can grow taller than a tree, our giants, or even a hillside. Yet throughout the ages, they've stayed peaceful, except for the War of Terror long ago, when goblins tried to overrun the giants' ancient city of Varigal. Usually, unless someone makes them angry, they are as gentle as butterflies. She stamped her foot on the ground. But some years ago, Stangmar issued a command, for some reason known only to him, to kill the giants wherever they were found. Since then, his soldiers have hunted them ruthlessly. Although it takes 20 or more soldiers just to kill one, they nearly always succeed. The city of Varigol, I've heard, is now just a ruin. It's possible that a few giants still survive, disguised as cliffs or crags, but they must always stay in hiding, afraid for their lives. In all my travels through the Druma, I've never seen a single one. I gazed at the corpse of the shifting wraith. Isn't there any way to stop this king? If there is, no one has found it. His powers are vast. Besides his army, he has assembled almost all of the treasures of Finkyra. What are they? Magical, powerful. The treasures were always used to benefit the land and all its creatures, not just one person, but no more. Now they are his, the orb of fire, the collar of dreams, the 7 wise tools, the sword called Deeper Cut, a sword with 2 edges, one that can cut right into the soul and one that can heal any wound. The most beautiful one, the flowering harp, whose music can bring springtime to any meadow or hillside, and the most hateful one, the cauldron of death. Her voice fell to a whisper. Only one of the legendary treasures hasn't yet fallen into his hands, the one whose power is said to be greater than all the rest combined, the one called the Galator. Beneath my tunic, my heart pulsed against the pendant. Her finger wrapped tightly around mine. I've heard the trees saying the Stangmar has given up searching for the Galator, that it disappeared from Finkyra some years ago. Yet I've also heard that he is still searching for something that will make his power complete, something he calls the last treasure. That could only mean one thing. The Galator? Rhea nodded slowly. Anyone who knows where it's hidden is in the gravest danger. I could not miss the warning. You know I have it. Yes, she replied calmly. I know. And you think it could help save the Druma? She pursed her lips in thought. It might, or it might not. Only the Galator itself can say. But I still think you could help. I stepped back, jabbing my neck on a broken limb. Treble screeched at me reproachfully. Yet the pain in my neck, like the pain in my ear, didn't distress me. For I heard in her voice that certain something I had not allowed myself to hear before. She really did see something of value in me. I felt sure that she was mistaken, but her faith was a kind of treasure itself, as precious in its ways as the one around my neck. As precious in its way as the one around my neck. The words jumped out at me. As precious as the one around my neck. Suddenly I realized that I had my clue, the clue I'd been seeking. Until now, I had assumed that the Galator was simply known in Finkyra, not that it truly belonged in Finkyra. Now I knew better. It was the most powerful of this land's ancient treasures, and it may have disappeared around the time Bronwyn and I washed ashore in Gwynedd. If only I could find out how the Galator had come into Bronwyn's hands, or at least learn some more of its secrets, then I might find some of my own secrets as well. The Galator, I said. What else do you know about it? Rhea released my hand. Nothing, and now I must go, with or without you. Where? She started to speak, then froze, listening. Treble, clinging to my left shoulder, also froze. Rhea's loose brown hair stirred like the branches as yet another wind moved through the forest. As her features hardened with concentration, I wondered whether her laughter like bells would ever ring again among these trees. The sound swelled steadily, a chorus of swishing and creaking, drumming and moaning. As the wind subsided, she leaned toward me. Goblins have been seen in the forest. I have no time to lose. She caught a fold of my tunic. Will you come? Will you help me find some way to save the Druma? I hesitated. Rhea, I'm sorry. The Galator, I need to find out more about it. Can't you understand? Her eyes narrowed. Without saying goodbye, she turned to go. I strode up to her and caught a vine from her sleeve. I wish you well. And I wish you well, she said coldly. A sudden crashing came from the underbrush behind us. We whirled around to see a young stag with the beginning of a rack above its bronze-colored head. The stag leaped over some fallen timber, eager to get away from something. For a split second, I caught a glimpse of one of its brown eyes, dark and deep, filled with fear. I tensed, recalling the one time before I had seen a stag. Yet that time the fear was in my own eyes, and that time the stag did everything in its power to help me. Rhea pulled free, then started to go. Wait! I will come with you. Her whole face brightened. You will? Yes, but only until our two paths diverge. She nodded. For a while, then. And where are we going? To find the one creature in all of the Druma who might know what else to do, the one who is called the Grandalusa. For some reason, I wasn't sure I liked the sound of that name. Okay, well, that was the end of chapter 18. So tomorrow we'll read chapter 19 called Honey. All right, thank you for joining me. Have a good night.